there, it's Christy with the Chirp YouTube channel. I'm here today to talk to you about sound effects. This includes things like animal noises, car crash noises, alarm sounds, anything that might be a noise and yet isn't a word. I'm talking about this because I have a new student in my classroom, newish. He's been with us a couple of months now, and he is currently nonverbal. And one of the things that we've been working on is making sounds. That's one of the goals we have for him. We want him to make sounds, more sounds. We don't care what they are. We just want to hear him using his vocal cords in a way that is fun and expressive. It doesn't necessarily have to be to other people or with other people, but that's an ultimate goal, of course, is that sounds would be used as communication tools. One of the ways that we're working on this with him is in fun play scenarios. This is the best way for kids to learn, of course. And this is one of the things we do all the time, is we have the best toys that we can find, and we want the kids to choose what they want to play with, and then we join in with them and we support their development and their learning through engagement with that toy and with us. One of his favorite toys is the Penguin Run toy. I don't want to call it a game because you don't really do anything. You turn it on, the penguins automatically climb up a ladder and then go down a little slide, and then go up the ladder again and then go down a little slide. It's not too difficult, and most people would think, how can I make this game interactive? How can I make this an engaging social event for this child? It seems like it's just stimulating his senses without actually being engaging on a social level. Well, what I did was every time the penguins climbed up and were coming down, I said, "Wee!" with big hands, big eyes, big face, and that squealy sort of noise. And then when they came down to the bottom and hit the bottom of the ladder, I said, "Boom! Wee! Boom! Wee! Boom!" I did this for probably 10, or definitely 10, maybe even 15 minutes one Sunday, because we didn't have that many kids in the classroom, and so I wasn't actually supervising the volunteers. I was able to hang out with a student myself, which is very fun. I'm sure everyone else in the classroom was getting a little weary of hearing my wee and my boom because I did them so many times. However, I was distracted one time by someone asking me a question, and I heard a little voice saying, "Wee." What's going on with the penguin?
What is that music out there? What's that music out there? Okay?
Wee.
The other class is listening to music. It's their turn.
Oh no, penguin! You jumped.
Are we all done with Dora?
Ready?
Should we put our stuff away?
Wee.
Maybe on top of the house.
Ready? Wee! Crash! I'm working so hard. I'm going to use a blue penguin. Blue! Wee! Crash! Crash! Comes the black penguin. Wee! Crash! Wee! Guess what? He was repeating the noises, and it wasn't just that week. He did it again the next week, and we have continued to hear more and more noises from him as we practice this sort of routine. You can use these routines with all sorts of play. Use them when you're playing cars. Crash, boom. Purposefully crash stuff and say crash and boom. Use it with animals. Make all the animal noises you can. Don't hold up an animal and say, "What does the cow say?" because that's boring and it's offensive to kids, because they know that you already know what the cow says. Just hold the cow up and say, "Moo!" Hold the pig up and hold the cow up and have the pig say to the cow and have the cow say moo to the pig, and then have them give each other a little kiss. Have the animals talk to each other using sounds. Have the cars talk to each other using sounds. Beep, beep, honk. it's a creative way to use non-words, to use sound effects in your child's life and in your play scenarios. There are a couple reasons why this is useful and why I recommend it. The first one is that a world without sound effects is kind of a boring, dull, gray world. Think of a movie with no telephones ringing, no traffic, no sirens, no wind blowing in the trees, no dogs barking. That movie would be it wouldn't feel immersive. We want the child's world to feel immersive. We want it to be engaging on an auditory level and not just all talk, words. Another reason why we want more sound effects in a child's life is because sound effects come from a different part of the brain than do words. Verbal language comes from a particular part of the brain. And if a child is having difficulty with something we call oral apraxia or apraxia of speech, this child is going to have difficulty accessing that part of the brain. And what that part of the brain does is send signals to the mouth to produce certain sounds that are going to produce words. A lot of kids who have autism also have apraxia as part of their diagnosis. And apraxia of speech isn't just of speech. It can be apraxia of any part of your body. And a lot of kids on the autism spectrum have apraxia in all sorts of places and all sorts of muscles. Sometimes you can tell by how a child walks that their muscles are not communicating with their brain quite right because they seem stiff or a little awkward. The mouth is one of the most complex muscle movement machines that exists in the human body. It takes a lot of working together for all the muscles and the brain to make words come out. And if our kids are having difficulty with apraxia of speech, words coming out are going to be difficult. So we need to make it easy. One way we can make it easier is by starting out making sounds that are not word sounds. They come from a different part of the brain, so it's not necessarily working on the same skill, but it is working on learning to make sounds and learning to engage in auditory ways with other human beings, in fun ways as well. Singing also has the same effect. It comes from a different place in your brain. The words that you sing come from a different place in your brain than the words that you speak. And so sometimes even kids who can't yet be verbal speakers, communicators, can use verbal words with music, singing. So it's very, very fascinating. We can often sort of jumpstart a child's journey to more verbal language by including more sound effects and more animal sounds, car sounds, nature sounds, all of that in the play that we do with them and in the teaching that we do with them. So I would like to challenge you to think of some ways that you can play with your child or with your students this week and include more consistent use of sounds. If you do play with a farm, think about the ways that you can have the animals make sounds to each other. And of course, the more repetition that you get of these sounds, the more likely it is that the child is going to attempt to repeat them. Repetition just makes it more comfortable for the child to join in. So just saying moo and oink once is not necessarily what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for every time the child picks up the cow, you say moo. Every time the child drives the tractor, you say chug, 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 chug. Every time the child crashes the cars, you say boom. Every time the child makes the penguin go down the slide, you say wee. And you repeat it many, many times so that the child hears it, looks at your face because you're being so exciting and the activity is fun, watches how you're shaping your mouth, can practice in her own head how to make those muscle movements, wee, and then can eventually start to make those sounds herself. Let me know what you decide to practice, where you're going to use this strategy, and thank you for watching. I appreciate you wanting to learn new skills so that it can be more helpful for the kids in your life. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.